Hello, welcome back to Zestology, the podcast all about energy, vitality and motivation. This week I'm in Portugal and we are looking at how to make health well easy. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an author, presenter at Sky Sports, and years ago I went to the jungle and got ill. Very ill. So this is my podcast adventure to find more energy. It's packed with biohacking, science, health tech, supplements and some of the most well-known experts on the planet.
This is something I spent 4 months of my life doing with electrodes glued to my head so that you can do a lifetime worth of meditation.
Decide what you don't give a fuck about, which is something you don't care about.
Some of it gets quite out there.
I had some stem cells sent up to my house that I had stored, and then I injected myself with mannitol.
And we even hack hangovers.
Alcohol is poisonous. So is water and oxygen in the wrong dosage.
So that's my podcast, Zestology. Live life with energy, vitality and motivation. Yeah, I'm in Portugal. I've just recorded an Instagram story and then this podcast. I'm very ill-advised, walking up a very steep hill at the same time, but it's just beautiful out here. And even in the middle of summer, there's a sort of a nice fresh breeze, which hopefully won't affect this podcast recording, but does make the whole place a little bit cooler than a lot of the parts of the Mediterranean at the moment, which are suffering a little bit, but not here on the western, pretty much on the western coast of Portugal. So great to be back on Zestology, and it's been such a busy few weeks. Obviously, we had the Health Optimization Summit, we had Glastonbury. As you know, Glastonbury didn't quite happen in terms of podcasts. It was a non-podcast, but sometimes life gets in the way, and that's more important, isn't it? And now I'm out here as well, and this week chatting to the founders, the brains behind Well Easy. And it's, Josh and Sonny are the two who've set up Well Easy. I'm such a big fan of Well Easy, and I'm actually working with them now. And they're partnering with this podcast. And I've been using it for a couple of years and just think what they do is brilliant. They basically deliver healthy groceries, but at a massive discount. And I'll let them explain more exactly what Well Easy is all about. But that fresh breeze has just got up a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass us now over to our previous podcast recording, which we recorded in a very small room in London a few weeks ago with me and Sonny from Well Easy. Sonny, how you doing, mate? We're recording.
Very good.
We're in a little cupboard in central London.
Yeah, nice and cosy.
Yeah, you've actually brought all the gear to video some stuff, but it's so small in here, we haven't really got it. It's like the old broom cupboard on CBBC.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. How are you anyway?
All good, yeah, really
Yeah?
good. Yeah, things are good at the minute.
Are they?
All good, yeah. Sun's out.
Well, I sort of wanted to talk to you about the business, about healthy living, and sort of peer behind the scenes a little bit as well, actually. That's what I love doing with this podcast, not just sort of having people on who are going to say, do this and do that, but also I just like the stories behind the journey. I mean, firstly, just explain to people what Well Easy is, because obviously you've been partnering my podcast for the last month or so, which I'm delighted about because I'm a fanboy.
Yeah.
And then I want to hear why you got into it.
Yes, so Well Easy is an online membership club with a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. So it's kind of like, imagine a Costco or an Amazon Prime for the wellness industry. So we've got about 4,000 products that are curated in-house. We have quite a strict criteria of what products we choose that are on there, all up to 35% off RRP and delivered straight to your door. So no more shopping around high and low for the products and brands you want. All in one place, one-stop shop, the best prices delivered straight to your door.
There you go, that's the advert. But I mean, actually, I've been using it for at least a couple of years. And when you started partnering with the podcast, you sent through a stat, which is most people save around 250 quid a year. I'm pretty sure I've saved more than that, and I think most people would. It's just like... And also, I just care more because everything's so expensive. Yeah. So it's a good time, isn't it, to be doing it?
Definitely. With the
Do you think you've almost got a bit lucky, weirdly, with the timing of how expensive the cost of living is?
Yeah, we have, and there's always a long way to go with this mission. As I say, like we're by no means as anywhere near as affordable as we want to be, but definitely got a bit lucky with timing, but also just the messaging right now resonates more because it is a difficult time for a lot of people. The cost of living is going up. There's talks of recession all the time now in the news. And I think it's a worrying time for a lot of people and a time where your health might take a backseat, but it's just rewarding for us, even if it is, still less customers than say we would get in a different market. It's still amazing for us to be able to help people to live healthier and save money.
That's the difficulty, isn't it? I mean, we have always bought organic, always. And recently we were like, should we just stop buying organic meat? Because it is outrageous now how much organic meat is. And we still sort of are, but sometimes we don't. And non-organic meat is about a third of the price. I know you don't sell meat, but like it is just so outrageous how much some organic things are.
Yeah, well, we don't sell meat yet, but it could be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Potential pipelines. But yes, I massively agree with you. And it's meat is obviously one. But it is right across the supply chains, even especially organic. And I think the issue that, and we'll come on to this in a second why we started, but the issue is that in a lot of places, they not only sell organic at the price it should be sold at, they sell it at 20 to 30% higher because they can afford to do so, because they try and charge a premium to people that can afford it. So they exclude
Mugs like us.
people. Mugs like us that overspend, spend far too much. So it can cost a hell of a lot, and you sacrifice many other things in order to do it.
Yeah. And yet it is so much better. And we were just talking about the Health Optimization Summit, which was last weekend, and lots of speakers saying, when you use poor quality ingredients, and that's not just food but skincare as well, what it does to things like your hormones, and long term the potential cost of using products that have a load of synthetic fragrances or chemicals in them, it's absolutely shocking. And it's sometimes good to get that reminder to think, oh yeah, that's why I do buy a little bit of a premium.
Yeah, there's an age-old saying in this space of you either pay for it now or you pay for it later, right? So it does come with a premium, and rightly so, because there's good ingredients that are used in it. Yeah. They themselves have quite expensive supply chains because they're better ingredients. So suppliers are kind of fewer that will produce the right ingredients to do so. So there is value the whole way along that chain being created. However, until we get more awareness, more demand for the products and the ingredients that are in our products and in our food, those supply chains will never become more affordable, and they won't then be able to pass on those savings to more products that are in this space, more brands that are in this space, meaning that far more of us can buy more of these products as much as we like, and not have to kind of worry about cost saving elsewhere.
So I'm pretty sure, because you're very young, aren't you? I'm pretty sure when I was your age, I only cared about drinking beer and going out, and I wasn't really very health conscious. Yeah. What's the difference? How old are you?
24.
24. Yeah. And why? How did you get into it so early and so young?
So I think there's definitely a generational change that's going on for sure.
There is.
100% is generational change, especially in my age group. I think I grew up as quite a keen sportsman, played football to kind of a decent level, and what's a
decent level?
Kind of what you would call maybe semi-pro-ish kind of teams that I played for would, if I'd have played to adult level, would have been semi-pro, but kind of decent standard in county side and things like that. So an okay level, but fell out of love with that when I was kind of 16, 17 and moved on to other sports, but never lost that kind of drive to improve and always be better. And I think like anything, right, if you kind of prioritise your exercise, there's a lot more that comes with it in terms of food and nutrition and all the other stuff. So
but there's got to be something more to it, because most of the 16 and 17-year-olds in that team are probably right now down the pub.
It's very true. It's very true. I think, very fortunate that I had very supportive parents that would push me to do well in school. Yeah. I think going off to university, has its benefits, has its negatives and its drawbacks, but one thing it does give you is a good exposure to knowledge, other people, maybe things that you wouldn't otherwise kind of see and perceive. And I think one of those things was general awareness and understanding of nutrition and health that came from just listening to podcasts, being around other kind of people that were quite intelligent in the space, into science and things like that. So I think it's just osmosis around, what it is. And I think that's kind of, it seems to be one of those things that, again, kind of relating to what we do as a mission, is that it's more those types of people that do have exposure to education, do have a higher income level and a higher socioeconomic background, also seem to be the ones that have more consciousness for their health and their wellness, right? So it's kind of a self-fulfilling cycle that until we kind of break the back of that with awareness and demand on a much broader scale, we can't really break those socioeconomic divides. So I think very fortunate to go to university and be part of that, have my own health struggles, which seems to be the...
well, that often is it. Yeah. So you had, what were they?
So again, very, as I mentioned, keen sportsman, became very, very fanatical about the gym and very fanatical about calorie counting. So every single day I would weigh out my oats, my egg whites.
Now we're getting to
my
it.
Chicken,
now
my
we're
rice.
scratching beneath the surface.
Yeah, and for a long time, and got very into a big kind of spiral of calorie counting and quite a bad battle with it. And I think you never noticed that at the time. For a good 3 months, I was living high as a kite, thinking I was in the best shape possible, had 6-pack abs, muscles, went on holiday, was standing by the beach, and then you come back, and after 4 or 5 months, you can't it's a bit of a mental battle too. You don't want to eat anymore. You don't want to kind of break that cycle or lose the abs and the work that come with it. And you realise that there's no nutrients in probably the lack of calories you're getting. Wow. So a heap of other problems that kind of came with that. General feeling unwellness, like fatigue, like crazy, and not knowing really how to break out of it. It became a bit of on its way to becoming quite a bad eating disorder.
Yeah. How did you sort it out? Did you have to get help? Because I can't imagine how you'd get out of it without help.
No help, and I think it's one of those things. Would be quite funny if I was rowing at the time, right? And a 6'3" rower came in and said he's got a bit of an eating disorder. It seemed like Freddie Flintoff or someone going and said. So no, fortunately, didn't get to an awful stage where I would class it as an eating disorder, but
sounds pretty close.
It was teetering on the verge of it, and and at the same time I was exercising 4 or 5 times a day, like crazy amount. So my body was really, really run down.
Yeah.
I think I stumbled across. I was always into content, and more entrepreneurial content, right? So listening to Gary Vaynerchuk and other people that were in that space, and then I got exposed to people like Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan, that spoke about Joe Rogan had Onnit coffee at the time and the Onnit products, right? And Tim Ferriss spoke about athletic greens and things that kind of came to my mind, and I was like, started to delve deeper into that world. What is this? What is fasting? What is ketogenic? What does keto actually mean? And just kind of became interested in the area and started to make better choices. And the big turning point for me was seeing food as nutrition and something to add to your body rather than something restrictive. I would go out to eat and I would put olive oil on a salad. And that was a decent meal that I could consume, feel good about it, rather than going and thinking, well, I can't have that, I can't have that, I can't have that, because that's too high calorie sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Olive oil would have been a no-no in terms of high fat, high calorie. So that was really what kind of broke it for me, and managed to, over time, reframe that more and more and just became more passionate about nutrition.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Welleasy, the platform that puts healthy living within your reach. As a member, you get lots of wholesome products at wholesale prices. This is what we need right now. If you are like pretty much everyone I know, sort of watching the pennies at the moment, then you save so much using Welleasy. In fact, the average Welleasy member saves 250 quid a year. We personally get at least 1 box delivered a week, and it's got everything we need in the house in it, from loo roll to treats. Their mission is to make healthy living accessible and affordable to everyone. I absolutely love Welleasy. I've got to know the guys there. If you want to check it out, then it is welleasy.co.uk. Use the code Zestology10. That is Zestology10 for £10 off your first order. It is just the all-in-one digital shopping experience for healthy stuff. They've got food, drinks, supplements, skincare, home and cleaning. I mean, we started off just getting treats there, and now we get as much as we can there, and you save so much at Welleasy. So go to welleasy.co.uk. If you are the sort of person who likes shopping at Whole Foods or Planet Organic or something like that, then you, I think, will like this, because you're going to save money. Use the code Zestology10 for £10 off your first order. Enjoy. It's been interesting hanging out this weekend with all the lots of friends and colleagues and people in the health industry, and it is a huge event now, that Health Optimization Summit, and obviously when this goes out it'll be a few weeks ago now, but I was reflecting, and I was talking to Faith, my wife, on it as well, who you know, and we were just saying, in the past it used to be a bit weird, the biohacking scene. And we would go over to America to the festivals over there and the conferences and the summits over there. And the people that you'd meet were just a bit weird. And often it turned out that it was people who were so fanatical about their health, and I include myself in there, that actually it's not that healthy. Now I think what is so refreshing now is it all feels so normal. And that's because a lot of young people like you coming in who are just quite cool. It's really nice to have just a much more normal, nice, down-to-earth vibe where everyone's super into looking after their health, but not at the expense of occasionally going out for a night out or letting the hair down, because that's where true balance lies.
I massively agree, and I think even I spend a lot of time myself looking at things like the blue zones, right, and kind of those parts of the world. And that only came about obviously from an interest in the space. But I think one thing we're definitely getting more and more aware of as this kind of younger generation stage, like just healthy lifestyle is kind of different. Like nutrition is one part of that, but there's kind of healthier ways to be, right?
Yeah.
So my generation has been really hit hard with mental health. If left, right, and centre, if you've not got mental health issues, you need to know about mental health issues, right? And understanding that things like loneliness can contribute to that, and things like community can benefit that and improve your health. And so there's so many different facets to health and wellness now that it's weird that, you know, I always laugh at my friends because we start doing things like I've been cold water swimming lately.
Yeah, great.
And then you look back at, you know, I've just been out to Japan and you realise that they've got this misogi or something in their culture. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's exactly that, cold water swimming, right? And we've kind of lost those small little like tricks that are just very human and kind of what you would consider to be biohacking, but really it's just a better way of living. And I think that's becoming more ingrained in this generation today, right? And nutrition is a big part of that. I think definitely when you've got energy and people want to optimize their performance and things like that, and libido, whatever it can be, whatever the buzzword is, there's reasons for people to start looking into it now.
Yeah, I mean, I as you know, I've studied NLP for 2 decades and taught other people and coached other people, and I was saying to people at the summit, you know, I do think that you can have all the ice baths and saunas and red light therapy in the world, but there is nothing that will impact your health as positively as when you get your mindset and your headspace right. And I was saying, you know, you can't blame your health or your symptoms on your mindset, but you can't recover if you don't get your mindset right. And that is quite hard for people to come to terms with, but it's literally the most important thing. And it sort of sounds the most boring as well. You know, it's all the sort of go to sleep early and do 10 minutes of meditation and have a nap in the middle of the day and that sort of thing. It's not exactly a nice bath, but it does work better, doesn't it?
Honestly, it really does. And I think it's funny just observing cultures and how people live. And yeah, you've got the extremes of ice baths, but then you just look at, you know, for example, I look at like my parents' generation or my dad or whatever. And my dad is quite I would call him a very resilient person, right? Another entrepreneur that kind of from London, so from very humble beginnings, but a very resilient person. And, you know, sometimes it's just that mindset and that toughness of kind of being able to stay optimistic and kind of not thinking too much, right? That you don't realise the levels that it really like in a weird way keeps the body in kind of a relaxed state, gives it something to focus on, gives it something to do, and kind of keeps the mindset going instead of missing. And it's like there's so many small nuances just to better living. And it's again going back to Japan, like even when I was there recently, they've got this concept called muay, which is like when you're born, you kind of put into a group of about 12 individuals. And they become your muay, they become your tribe for life. Wow. And whether it's kind of spiritual help, financial help, mental health, whatever you're going through in life, you have that support network of just 12 people. And again, it's like these really simple things that we kind of lost a little bit in our kind of more developed, to some extent, developed Western society that really do have an impact. So yeah, it's not just the ice baths, it's really small things too. But the awareness of that is just amazing to see. You know, my girlfriend has become really into health. Everyone around me is coming into their health and general well-being. I would rather get up on a Saturday now and run with my friends or chill or go for a coffee than I would go out drinking every single Saturday, if that makes sense. Yeah,
no, it certainly does. Yeah. And how do you balance? I mean, this is something that is a familiar theme for me, because building a business from scratch, and you and I going about our businesses in very different ways. Yours is a bigger operation. You've obviously had a lot of funding and you've had funding rounds. And mine is belt and braces. You start earning money from day one and you build it up as the money comes in. But I also like to balance that with my values of not working too hard. And that's quite difficult when you're trying to build a business and every hour that you work basically puts money on the table. Do you find that difficult?
Massively, right? And we've Josh and I, my other co-founder, we've had this conversation a hell of a lot that to some extent building a business probably isn't the healthiest thing to do, because you are all in, right? And it is all consuming. It's very hard to cut off, whether it is, you know, as I say, whether it's bootstrapped or whether it's funded. They both come with their own stresses. They come with a lot of thought and care and attention needed. And it's more it's the inability to switch off thinking, I think, is the biggest thing. It's not even the workload, it's more just the thought load that becomes the hardest part. So we have thought about that and we have discussed it, but my own personal beliefs on that is that I've always seen responsibility and sense of responsibility and kind of working towards something bigger than myself as a part of my own health and well-being. You know, to be able to get up at 5 every morning for the last 3 years and to continue doing that for the next 8 years, even while the business might be really struggling, we're putting out fires left, right and centre. It only comes from the fact that I'm very passionate about this mission and this space and helping people more and doing more for this, right? And I think to get up every day with that level of responsibility and purpose and fulfillment is in itself a healthy thing.
It is, but it's not going to help it's not going to help anything if you're feeling run down because you're getting up at 5 every morning and you're too jacked up with the excitement of your work.
It is, and I think there's definitely ways to try and bulletproof yourself more. So as you say, going to bed earlier, right, and trying to do those things. I don't go out drinking too often, to be honest. I very rarely drink that much, just because it sets me back. Funny enough, I did go out drinking this weekend, and even now I still have a little bit of a hangover. So 2-3 days now, which never used to happen. So so it's just being aware of those things. But yeah, it's not inherently the healthiest thing, but I think it's a choice you make, and it's hopefully the reward outweighs it, right? That's the big
It's thing. Easier to take the paycheck, isn't it? But it is so nice not to have to work for someone that you just don't respect. That is, having had many bosses over the years, it is wonderful to not have one anymore, I must say.
100%. And even talking about moving abroad and how things work like that in terms of remote working, and it's like, and that it's only really if you kind of work for yourself, or at least are in a job where that's allowed, that you can have that ability to do that and kind of work on your own schedule. And I think you kind of have the, you would hope that the first few years are the tough ones, and once you scale up enough, you should be able to outsource more of your work and get back more of your time, and then have an even bigger reward for doing so.
Yeah, definitely. So we've not got too much longer left. What is one book that you've read that has had a big impact on you? A book that has sort of impacted you in some way that you might recommend to people? And one tip for living with more energy and vitality?
Book that I've read that's very good. I would say, so maybe for a slightly younger audience, well, there's 2 books I would say that they're very good. One is How to Win Friends and Influence People, and that's a really old book that's been around for many years, but there's a reason it survives and stays as successful as it is. And actually, I think whether you're working for someone, you're in the workplace, you're trying to start your own thing, or just trying to get by in life, it's a great book to read, right? Just to understand how to relate to people and to communicate to people. It's definitely one I'd say. The second book is again another kind of for a younger audience. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by a guy called Mark Manson. And that, like, genuinely, it was a very straight talking book, but really changed my mind in terms of just prioritization of just yourself, right? And kind of learning to let go and not care too much about certain things, and in the right way, not in the wrong way. The title makes it sound like it's the wrong way, but it's actually in the right way. So there are 2 books that I would say. And then
just on that book, the title, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, makes it sound lightweight. And it's actually not, is it? It's full of depth. And nuance.
Massively.
And he's an excellent writer. And I think, we talk about the changing world of biohacking. When I first started learning NLP, that was a bit of a weird world as well. There was a lot of very sharp-suited, always men, always older, striding around the stage, proclaiming that what they said was exactly right, with no sense of humility. And now it's far more sort of self-deprecating and irreverent and real. And I love that as well. And I think Mark Manson is definitely the new breed of that.
I think so as well. And as I say, I've done various bits of NLP in the past, and books like that are massively helpful.
Well, I'll be doing an NLP practitioner course, so if you want to come for free, then you can give me some feedback afterwards with your knowledge.
I'd absolutely love to. Energy and vitality. For me, it comes from, Saturday morning, up early, whether it's swimming at the sea or an ice bath or something, or going for a coffee with friends. That kind of first 2 hours of my Saturday dedicated to the people around me. It brings my whole, everything I'm doing in the week to life. To be able to see those people that I love and care about, to talk to them about things that I've had that week, and things that have gone on, and just to hear from them, to hear their thoughts, let them offload and speak to them on a deeper level. I think we lose, especially if you're building your own business, you sometimes struggle to keep those connections. I think it's really important to prioritise those connections. So a Saturday morning, coffee, ice bath, with friends or with family, making the time and to really connect is the biggest thing.
And listen, I really want to say Well Easy is awesome. I mean, you guys have done a great job with it, and I heartily recommend that people try it out. Just because, if nothing else, you'll save loads of money. But there is other stuff going on as well, which is when you get a delivery, it's awesome because there's a lot of stuff there that you just sort of can't get in your mainstream. I mean, there's a few things that I really love on there that I'm fairly obsessed. There's a couple of things that I've had to stop myself from getting because they're so good. Yeah. The unrefined bars are outrageous. That clean, lean protein is absolutely brilliant as well. There's only about 3 ingredients in there, isn't there? And then we sort of get our washing gear and our laundry and that sort of loo roll on there as well. I think you've done an excellent job. And I'm really impressed by it.
Thank you. Long way to go, but it's going well.
Well, head to welleasy.co.uk if you want to get involved with Sonny's site and have a look at that. And there's discount code Zestology10 that you can check out in the notes. And keep up the good work.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Really,
Thanks for coming on.
Really good to talk. When are you going back to Japan next?
Funny enough, in August.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be back in Japan.
You're going to move to the blue zone of Japan?
Could well do.
Really?
So at some point, I think I'd rather do Greece or somewhere in Europe first, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sonny, great to chat to you, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
That is it. Thank you to Sonny. Thank you for listening as well. If you haven't yet heard my interview with Arthur C. Brooks last week, he's absolutely brilliant and so inspiring on aging and not pursuing all those things you think are going to make you happy, like money, fame, success, Instagram likes. That's not the same as happiness. It might be nice, but it's not the same as happiness. Money doesn't equal happiness, and nor does Instagram likes, and nor does podcast listens, actually. But anyway, I thought that was just a great podcast, and I was so excited to do it after having read the book and reached out to Arthur. So if you haven't heard that one yet, then listen to it on a previous Zestology podcast, or go to my Instagram and have a look at the reel, and you'll get a little 30-second taste of what it's all about. That is it for this podcast. Thank you to Welleasy. Remember to use the discount code. It's either Tony10 or Zestology10. I haven't got my notes in front of me. I'm in Portugal. And remember to go to the Bioptimizer's site and get Magnesium Breakthrough as well, and use the code Zestology10 for 10% off. Okay, so Zestology10 normally works, and if not, it's Tony10. That's it. See you next time.